Welcome to the deep dive. So today we're getting into something pretty ingrained in how we think about aging. This idea of inflammaging, that chronic low-level inflammation that just seems to creep up as we get older.
Right. It's almost taken as a given. And yeah, it's linked to some serious stuff, heart disease, Alzheimer's, type 2 diabetes, frailty. The list goes on.
Exactly. It feels almost inevitable. Like it's just part of the deal of getting older in the modern world.
That's definitely been the standard view, yeah. But what if it's not quite so universal? What if there are groups out there whose bodies, well, they just don't follow that pattern?
Okay, I think I know where you're going with this. The Tsimane.
Precisely.
Yeah.
The Tsimane people in Bolivia.
Oh.
There's research showing something quite remarkable. While inflammation markers tend to climb pretty steadily with age in, say, the US or Europe, with the Tsimane, they seem to stay surprisingly low, like throughout their lives.
Which is just, wow. It really makes you stop and think, doesn't it? So our mission today, then, is to really unpack that. Why might the Tsimane be resistant to this inflammaging? And crucially, what can we realistically learn from them without, oversimplifying or romanticizing their lives? Because that's easy to do.
Absolutely. It's about understanding the nuances. This is going to be a deep dive into longevity, immunity, and, yeah, some pretty surprising stuff from a very different culture.
Okay, so let's get into the Tsimane's quote-unquote secrets. What's different about their lives?
Well, the lifestyle factors are pretty starkly different from ours. They're incredibly physically active.
Yeah.
Hunting, fishing, farming, constantly moving.
Right, not exactly desk jobs and commutes.
Not at all. And their diet is largely unprocessed. Stuff they grow, hunt, or gather. Very little from a package.
Makes sense. Plus, they're immersed in nature, right? Daily.
Hmm.
And strong communities.
Definitely. Strong social ties, living close together. All factors we know are generally good for health. But here's where it gets really interesting. Beyond those basics, it seems to be their constant lifelong exposure to a really diverse microbial environment.
Ah, okay. So not just the diet affecting the gut microbiome, but the actual environment they live in.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Think about it. Microbes from the soil, from animals they interact with, even from untreated water sources. It's teeming with life, microbiologically speaking.
Which sounds maybe a bit scary from our sanitized perspective.
Maybe initially, yeah. But the theory is that this intense, early, and continuous exposure essentially trains their immune systems. It helps the immune cells learn what's a genuine threat versus what's harmless or even beneficial. It calibrates the response.
So like immune system school, starting from day one.
Kinda, yeah. In contrast, in more sterile industrialized places, kids grow up with much less microbial diversity. The immune system might not get that same education, so it becomes, let's say, more prone to overreacting later on. Trigger happy, you could almost say.
Leading to that chronic low-grade inflammation we call inflammaging.
That's the hypothesis. It fits quite well.
Does this connect to any broader theories in immunology? I feel like I've heard similar ideas before.
Oh, absolutely. It aligns really well with the old friends hypothesis.
Right, the old friends. Refresh my memory on that one.
Sure. It's a sort of refinement of the older hygiene hypothesis. The core idea is that our immune systems evolved over millennia alongside certain microbes, even some parasites. These are the old friends.
Okay.
And the theory suggests that losing contact with these ancient allies because of modern sanitation, antibiotics, C-sections, different diets, well, it might be contributing to the rise in inflammatory and autoimmune diseases. Our immune systems are sort of missing these expected inputs they co-evolved with.
That makes a lot of sense. It paints a picture of our immune system being slightly out of sync with its environment.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Now, looking at the Tsimane, it's really tempting, isn't it?
Yeah.
To just say, aha, found it. We should all just live like them.
Totally. Move to the jungle, get some worms, problem solved.
Yeah. Well, yeah. But that would be a massive oversimplification. And frankly, misguided. Yeah. We absolutely have to talk about the trade-offs. It's not all positive.
Okay, what are the big ones?
Infectious diseases. While their lifestyle might protect against chronic inflammation, they face really significant health threats from infections. Parasites, respiratory infections, gastrointestinal illnesses, and tragically, their average lifespan is considerably shorter than in Western countries because of these acute threats, especially in childhood.
So it's a different risk profile, not necessarily a better one overall.
Precisely. This isn't about ditching modern medicine or sanitation. Those things save countless lives. It's about understanding a different balance, a different set of environmental pressures.
That's a really crucial point. And what about genetics? Could that be part of the story too?
Very likely, yes. It's plausible, even probable, that the Tsimane have inherited specific genetic adaptations over generations living in that environment. Adaptations that shape their immune response.
Meaning, even if someone from, say, London tried to perfectly replicate their lifestyle.
It wouldn't necessarily have the exact same effect. Our genetic backgrounds are different. We might not respond in the same way. It adds another layer of complexity.
Okay, so let's loop back to the gut microbiome, because that seems central. It's a key differentiator, right?
It really seems to be. That rich, diverse gut microbiome they tend to have, it's fostered by all those things we mentioned. The high-fiber, diverse plant diet, the constant environmental exposure, probably less antibiotic use historically.
And this diverse microbiome helps maintain that well-trained immune system we talked about.
That's the idea. It's not just about having diverse microbes, but what they do. They produce compounds, notably short-chain fatty acids,
Right.
or SCFAs.
Ah, yes, SCFAs, like butyrate.
Butyrate is a key one. It's amazing stuff. It's literally fuel for the cells lining our gut. It helps keep that gut barrier strong and healthy.
Preventing leaky gut, essentially.
Right. But it also does more. It actively signals to the immune system. Specifically, it encourages the production of regulatory T cells, TREGs.
TREGs. Those are the immune system's peacekeepers, aren't they? The ones that tell the other immune cells to calm down.
Exactly. They're crucial for preventing overreactions and maintaining immune tolerance. Basically telling the immune system, hey, chill out, this isn't a threat.
So diverse gut bugs produce butyrate, strengthen gut wall, A and D, boost TREGs, less inappropriate inflammation. That's a powerful chain.
It really is.
Ah.
But, and this is important,
There's always a but.
there usually is in biology. It raises the question, can we just pop a probiotic pill or eat a specific food and fix everything?
And the answer is?
Probably not so simple.
Right.
Gut health is just one piece, albeit a significant one, of a massive puzzle. It interacts constantly with your genes, your overall diet patterns, stress, age, your early life. You can't isolate it completely. There's no single magic microbiome fix.
Right. It's the whole system. Which brings us to something, well, a bit more out there. Helminth therapy. I've seen that mentioned in relation to this kind of research.
Ah, yes, the worms.
The worms. Tell us about that. Sounds intense.
It is. So the concept, building on that old friend's idea, is that some parasitic worms, helminths, might have co-evolved to modulate or calm down our immune systems to help their own survival.
So the thinking is maybe intentionally infecting ourselves with specific controlled doses of certain worms could reduce inflammation or allergies.
That's the theory being explored. And there is some research, very early stage, looking into it for conditions like Crohn's disease or allergies.
But I sense another bet coming.
A very big but. This is highly speculative. It is not a mainstream treatment. It's still deep in the research phase. There are real risks involved, potential side effects, and it's absolutely positively not something people should be experimenting with on their own. Please don't go looking for worms to swallow.
Okay, message received. Fascinating idea, but definitely not DIY territory.
Definitely not. It just highlights the complexity of how our immune system interacts with the world, including things we might instinctively think of as bad.
So, okay, we understand that Tsimane's situation is complex, involves trade-offs, genetics, and worms are not the answer for most of us. What can you actually do? What are the practical, low-risk takeaways here, assuming you're not moving to the Bolivian Amazon?
Right, the actionable stuff. And there are things, habits that are generally supported by evidence for reducing low-grade inflammation. First up, diet. Really focus on increasing fiber-rich, plant-based foods. Fruits, vegetables, legumes, whole grains. Feed those gut microbes diversity.
Makes sense. What else?
Fermented foods. Things like live yogurt, kefir, sauerkraut, kimchi. They can introduce beneficial microbes, or at least the beneficial products of microbial fermentation. Add them in regularly.
Okay, diet covered. What about that environmental exposure piece, sort of rolling in mud?
Well, maybe not rolling.
Yeah.
But spending more time in nature genuinely helps. Gardens, parks, forests. And yeah, don't be afraid of a little soil contact. Gardening is fantastic for this. It exposes you to different environmental microbes in a gentle way.
My garden suddenly feels like a health spa. Good to know. What else?
Exercise. Regular, moderate exercise is a known anti-inflammatory. It doesn't have to be intense marathon running. Consistent movement helps.
And the one we always mention, but often neglect, stress.
Oh, absolutely crucial. Chronic stress is a major driver of inflammation. So finding ways to manage it is key. Mindfulness, meditation, deep breathing, yoga, just making time to unplug and disconnect regularly. Whatever works for you.
It really does feel like it comes back to these fundamentals, doesn't it? Diet, movement, stress, nature.
It often does. These aren't magic bullets to eliminate inflammaging entirely, obviously. Aging still happens, but they're nudges. Ways to support your body's natural balance, reduce that unnecessary chronic inflammation, and maybe shift your own personal health landscape in a better direction.
Yeah, health landscape is a good way to put it. Not a single peak to climb, but a whole terrain to navigate.
Exactly. And wrapping this up, the core takeaway from the Tsimane story isn't a simple prescription, but a challenge to our assumptions. The fact that inflammaging isn't totally universal shows that severe age-related inflammatory decline isn't necessarily biologically inevitable, or at least not in the way we experience it.
But the why is super complex.
Super complex. It's that web of factors we talked about. Activity, diet, the microbial environment from day one, infection history, genetics, probably sheer luck too. It all weaves together.
And massive individual variation on top of that. What helps one person might not do much for another.
Absolutely. And that's okay. Health isn't one size fits all. There are many different paths across that landscape.
So the final thought then, maybe instead of searching for that one silver bullet cure for aging or inflammation,
maybe we do better focusing on those fundamentals. Move your body, manage your stress, eat a diverse range of real foods, connect with people, and yeah, maybe, just maybe, don't be quite so afraid to get your hands dirty now and then.
a little dirt might do us good. Something for everyone to think about. Which of those fundamental practices could you lean into a bit more in your own health landscape?
A perfect question to reflect on.